Everybody ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Ahsoka!
4 Midwest Guys presents Star Wars Rebels HQ.
Battles leave scars. Some you can't see. Holocron.
I'm afraid it's changing him.
I will never let my friends get hurt again.
Your anger gives you strength.
Governor Price, these rebels have proven particularly stubborn. How do you intend to solve this problem?
I need someone who sees a bigger picture.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them, not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
I must become more powerful.
Split the treasure.
Oh, that's a classic.
One last glorious day in the Grand Army of the Republic.
Jedi and Sith, the light and the dark.
They'll be the architects of their own destruction.
The key to destroying the Sith.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 4 Midwest Guys Presents Star Wars Rebels HQ. Tonight we'll be reviewing Season 3, Episode 11, Visions and Voices. Here with me to do that tonight is Mr. Brian Ichabod.
Hey, what's up, what's up?
What's going on, B?
Not much, man.
Good. And my brother Aaron, he could be with us today. He's out with his fiancée tonight, so we wish him luck, wish him well. He's here as a Force Ghost. All right, so let's just dig right into it, Brian. We start off with this one, and Ezra's having visions of Maul, kind of going psycho almost. I guess.
like you, at first you think he's actually seeing something.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, he's just seeing stuff in his mind.
Right, it's all in his head. So he obviously passes out eventually and everything. So I guess my question is to you would be, do you think these visions of Maul, do you think Maul is controlling him maybe? Possibly?
No, what I think it was is I think it's more of a when they both went to do the
mind,
like a mind meld type thing.
Yeah, through the
that they're
holocrons.
still kind of connected, so he's still kind of
yeah. So do you think maybe it's just when they come near to each other, maybe, and they draw near to each other, maybe it triggers it, or is it just because there's a part of me that wonders if Maul's can't control it because he's obviously a little bit more versed in the Force.
I mean,
maybe.
it could be something like he's controlling. I'm not sure
because it just like overwhelmed Ezra. Ezra couldn't handle.
Oh yeah, it was definitely an overwhelming power, but we never really see it happen from the other side either. So we don't know if it happened to Maul,
right?
And Maul passed out too, or
right. So I was just kind of one of my I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, so there's obviously like a connection between the two through the Force. So do you think the Force itself is maybe leading the two back together to complete the vision because they never completed the vision in the first place?
That could be. It could be one of those where, like, the Force or nature's trying to put things right.
Yeah.
So the path got split.
Yep.
And the Fourth is trying to push it back together.
Right, because they got the information mixed up,
yep.
So neither one got the message.
Yep.
So I was just, to me, it kind of, it would fit the whole Force thing and the theme that's used in Star Wars quite a bit. Bendu, obviously Bendu said it brings great power, but also brings great danger. If Maul can control this, I just wonder if Maul won't use this connection to maybe control Ezra and try to bring him to the dark side through it. At some point.
Skew his visions and stuff to
maybe, yeah.
Well, he did attack that one. Mm-hmm. He did attack the one. The one rebel, thinking that it was
him.
Yeah.
So he'd use that, or we've seen Vader talk to Luke through the Force. So maybe he can use the connection between the two to kind of terrorize.
Yeah, could be
because Vader kind of terrorized Luke, I guess, in a way. So. Maybe through the Force, calling out to him and stuff like that. So I just wonder if maybe that's something that'll happen down the line. We did get to see that they kept the broken holocrons. That they look like they're trying to Do you think they'll try to piece them back together, maybe, or do you think they still have a role to play, maybe later this season with it, maybe?
They might. Well, I don't know. Well, it might be one of those where the holocrons are like a key, so it's going to fit a certain spot, and they're like, glue it back together so we can slide in this hole to open the bigger door.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think if I remember right, there is in the upcoming, the second half trailer, because we're recording this so late that we've already seen that I think it actually, the holocron kind of blinks with that message from Obi-Wan we've seen at the very beginning of the series in season 1.
Oh, yeah.
It's Obi-Wan saying warning, or whatever. So I think we might see that come to play, hopefully. At least in that part we know. So has anyone else been surprised? Have you been surprised by that the link between Ezra and Maul has been so localized? I mean, you would think. I always thought them merging these holocrons. You know how like I sense a disturbance in the Force when people say that are Force sensitive. That would have set Vader off, and that would have sent the Emperor off. I thought
you would have thought, because technically that would make those two on a path more powerful than the other ones.
Yeah,
who are simply just Sith.
Right.
You would have thought that, oh crap, and if they're gonna be more powerful because they're gonna have them combined.
Yeah, and you would think that that Palpatine would want that the Emperor would want that, especially to be able to see things through the Force, clear visions through the Force, things revealed. So it's one part. I just wish they would kind of explain why it's just those two and why only they can sense it and feel it. Obviously, Kanan kind of had a side effect being so close. He could see Ezra for a brief moment through the Force, but that was about it. It was like it never extended beyond those two. So I don't know. Just kind of one of those things that kind of makes me wonder a little bit. So, I don't know about you, Brian, but did the Bendu seem kind of vague in this episode to you? I mean, it was just like he was repeating their questions back to them, and then he just disappeared when Maul shows up. He just disappears completely.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't very insightful. We'll say that.
No, he just goes, "Well, I warned you it was dangerous, and well, what do you want to see? And don't turn around, and there's Maul."
Yeah.
I wonder if this lends any credence to your theory that you had stated a few podcasts back about maybe the Darksiders hunted the Bendu race maybe at one point. And
could have.
Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. So, also one of the other points I kind of want to talk about, at least touch on for a second. It seems to me Kanan is showing no signs of being blind anymore.
Other than us not being able to watch him look at somebody.
Right. He can fight. He can walk. Apparently he even learned how to drive the motorcycle back from the Bendu side on his own. He seems to have no limits whatsoever.
Well, it reminds me a lot of the Matrix.
Yeah, kind of.
So he can see everything. He just can't see physically, but he can see ones and zeros and everything.
It just makes me wonder if he does really possibly have Force vision. Like he's constantly plugged into the Force now, and he's constantly seeing things through the Force, and that's sensing it, feeling it out. I don't know. It just seems he's very. It's just like it never happened almost in the way they portray it in the series anyway. You never see him struggle. You never see him trip and fall. You never
bump into anything.
Yeah, or anything like that. Like you would think somebody would.
Right. I mean, are we going to go into the future episodes, or just try to stay close?
We're going to try to stay close to this one because we know what's coming. But it also seems, I don't know. It's like it just makes me wonder how much more powerful has Kanan become or will become as we go, because he seems to be very tapped in to the Force, and it seems
like it's supercharging him.
Kind of, yeah, because he no longer has his eyesight, so now he has to rely on his other senses plus the Force to kind of guide him and make him stronger. So, in some ways, it kind of goes back to that. We've always debated who's stronger. Is Ezra stronger? Or is Kanan stronger? I'm not sure. Because there are times it kind of feels like Kanan might still have a lot to learn, a lot to teach Ezra.
Yeah, he still has the upper hand on him.
Yeah. All right, so we return to Dathomir. Just a little bit about Dathomir. I'm going to go into a little bit of a history. We've been here before in the Clone Wars. It's not only Maul's home, but it's home to his late mother Talzin, who was like the head of the Nightsisters clan. If anybody remembers the Clone Wars and the Yellow Maul, as some people called him, which was his brother Savage Opress, is also from this particular planet. And again, he also had a sister, Saj Ventress, who was also part of the Nightsisters clan, which is like a covenant, a witch's covenant in a way. It's probably the best way to describe it. In fact, pulling from Wikipedia, Nightsisters use their magical ichor as a luministic green mist. We see it in this episode that originates in the depths of Dathomir. The Nightsisters, an all-female order, knew how to summon the magic how to magic the ichor, the mist, through their magic, and use it to create physical objects out of thin air, plus do other things with it. So we've seen this before. We use this. They used the mist to enhance Savage Opress, kind of made him bigger and stronger, and he became pretty much like in tune with the Force almost overnight. It's like he had Force abilities overnight with it. They used it to fix Darth Maul's mind in the Clone Wars, because when we first find Darth Maul, he's crazy. He has like spider robot legs growing out of him, and he's just nuts. And Mother Talzin actually uses the green mist to fix Darth Maul's mind, and also kind of fix his spider legs into more normal-looking legs. Not quite what he has right now, or what we see in Rebels, but close. Although it's not explained, their magic is connected to the Force in some way, shape, or form, and we've seen that through the past, through the Clone Wars and whatnot. And now we see it to reemerge. When we see Ezra and Maul's minds merge again, it's that green mist. It's the same thing. It's the same power, same source. So, if you're wondering what that is, that's what that is. That's the magic source of this planet Dathomir, which just happens to. It's somehow connected to the Force, and yet it's somehow magic at the same time. They don't quite explain it. If you're wondering what happened to the Nightsisters, they were killed by Count Dooku after Savage Opress tried to assassinate him with the help, which was all set up because Dooku actually Savage, not Savage, but Saj Ventress, which was once kind of a pseudo apprentice of Count Dooku. The Emperor ordered him to kill her. She escaped, and then she came back with Savage Opress, this mutant, and they tried to assassinate him. So Dooku responds by wiping out the Nightsisters, essentially. Mother Talzin, she gets killed a little bit later, again for trying to assassinate Dooku and Sidious, but that happens quite a bit later. In fact, I think that even happens in a book or in the Darth Maul comic book series. I can't remember which now. So while they're dark side users or witches, but they're only out for themselves. So they even go against the Sith throughout that. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of background in case anybody out there was kind of wondering what all that was about. And if you're a little bit lost, I encourage everybody to watch the Clone Wars. It's all there. It's a really good series. You should watch it, especially if you're a Rebels fan, because Rebels just continues that storyline because it's the same people that made Clone Wars are now making Rebels, so it only makes sense. All right, so let's get back into the episode. The Nightsisters / I guess we would call it Maul's archive room. It's kind of a lot of throwback again to the Clone Wars. We saw I don't know if you saw it, Brian, but they had the Mando helmet, and it had the spikes, like Darth Maul has, like the horns in it. We saw that. That's back when he ruled Mandalore, believe it or not. At one time he did. That's through the Clone Wars again. There's a name written in like red. It almost looks like blood. Actually, it's apparently an alien language that some nerd out there translated for us, and believe it or not, it actually translates into Kenobi.
That reminds me like on Big Bang Theory when they're talking about Klingon or whatever, and like, oh, that means Kenobi and blah blah blah. Like, how do you know that?
so that word, that big word big giant word you said actually says Kenobi written in red. So obviously Maul is still obsessed with Kenobi. It's kind of like his
arch nemesis, whatever.
Maybe that's what he uses to draw his dark side power from. That's his thing. We also, and then the coolest thing in this whole thing is what I loved. One of the coolest things was we saw a zombie like portrait of Satine, and Satine in Clone Wars was Kenobi's love interest. She was the Duchess of Mandalore and once ruler of Mandalore at one time. So they had that, and then in front of that, which was even cooler, is the return of the Dark Saber. The Dark Saber, which we're going to learn about more this season down the road, but from Clone Wars, we know it was originally stolen from the Jedi Temple by the Mandalorians during the fall of the Old Republic as a war between the Jedi and the Mandos. It's passed down from generation to generation in this particular clan of Mandalorians. It's almost like a rite of succession or the leader's sword sort of thing. It kind of gets passed down, so it has a lot of significance. It's the same one used by Pre Vizsla. He was the former leader of Death Watch, which was kind of like a terrorist organization or group that was going against Duchess Satine at the time. He was actually this Pre Vizsla leader in Clone Wars. Spoiler alert, gets killed by Maul. Maul takes by his own Darksaber, which Maul takes and beheads him with. So a lot of history going on, a lot of tie-ins, a lot of kind of, gives you that tie-in. It kind of, not only is it a reference to the past, but I think it'll be a reference to the future because we know this season is very highly tied to Sabine, or it's going to be heavily fortunate.
It's tied to Sabine, Kenobi, Darth Maul,
the Mando culture.
Yeah, so we're seeing it, bits and pieces of it all over the place through all these episodes.
Right.
So there's got to be a reason why we're seeing it.
Right. It's not just there for the sake of being there. It's going to serve a purpose, obviously. And again, I'm giving you more background information, so in case when you were watching this episode you weren't sure, then I'm just trying to fill in the blanks so you can see that they are indeed leading us somewhere. They're basically fulfilling, in my mind, a Clone Wars storyline now set in the Rebels timeline. Again, they're trying to, because Clone Wars was unceremoniously end before it was supposed to. I think they're taking these same stories and they're continuing them in Rebels. It's just happening later in the timeline, and they're adding things to it as they go. So that's kind of what all that's about. So obviously, also Maul uses the same black saber when he captures Kenobi and Satine together. He runs Satine through it right in front of Obi-Wan. So again, another Obi-Wan Kenobi connection. We're pretty sure, we're positive, let's just say, that we're going to get Kenobi at the end of the season. So another tie, another reference to Kenobi.
See, I think we'll have Kenobi before the end of the season.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah, because what I think we're going to get at the end of the season is you're going to get the showdown between Maul and Kenobi. Mm-hmm. But I think you're going to get Kenobi beforehand, several episodes of it, because you'll have several episodes of Maul, several episodes of Kenobi, and then a showdown between the two.
See, I think it's going to be a race between Maul and Ezra, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, but to get to Kenobi. And then I think at the end, the final couple episodes, maybe hopefully 2 episodes, maybe 3, we'll get Kenobi. But you could be right. They could throw him in early, have the Rebels find him first. Maybe you can get a little bit more. I would love that, personally. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi next to Darth Vader is probably my next favorite. Well, Luke Skywalker, then Obi-Wan. He's my third favorite. So,
who's your first?
Darth Vader. / Anakin Skywalker. All right. The merging of the minds again. So they use this Night Sister potion magic, I guess. They drink and suddenly the green mist kicks in. Their eyes kind of glow green. Drink this potion. It kind of reminded me like of an old, like, I don't know, like an old, a Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Like Dungeons and Dragons, or what was the one with the witch sisters at the top of the hill with the cauldron, and they could see through the eyes that they held in their hand.
Yeah, that's Greek mythology. Oh God, or not Greek mythology.
Clash of the Titans.
It's English. Yeah, well,
Was that Clash of the Titans?
I think that's actually it's English lore, isn't it? I think it's part of Arthur.
I don't know. I thought it was Clash of the Titans.
I thought that was part of the whole King Arthur thing. It could be both. I don't know. I have to look into that. I'm sure people are screaming at us. So obviously Ezra sees Obi-Wan. He gets his part of his, and then Maul gets to see that he sees it's a planet with twin suns, which obviously he recognizes as Tatooine, although he does not say that as such. He goes, because even Maul goes, it ends where it begins, a planet with twin suns, which is a great throwback all the way back to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, where it all started.
Right.
So the circle is now complete, blah, blah, blah. So Maul knows everything by extension of his past, but Ezra only does not know what the hell Tatooine is, or at least he doesn't know that's the vision.
Right.
He's still trying to figure that out, which is going to be an interesting thing to see play out. To see, like I said, I don't know if it'll be a race, or if somehow they figure it out, or how they figure it out, how they get there. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. All right. So the Nightsisters ghost. Briefly, they kind of return as ghosts. Obviously, after they do the magic, they start flying around, and they return the play. Yeah, they want human bodies to possess. I don't know. What do you think about that whole scene, Brian? Do you think that they're going to return at some point to play a role in Ezra's fate? Because Ezra kind of outs himself as being part of the debt with Maul for using the magic. Or do you think this is a one and done kind of situation?
I think it's a one and done. I don't think they're coming back.
You don't see them coming back to interfere at some point, saying you still owe us?
Nope.
Because he did destroy their altar, and they'd be kind of pissed off about it.
Yeah, but I don't see them coming back.
Okay. Also, do you think... Well, I guess you probably don't, but the other question I had, do you think they'll hold any kind of... retain some sort of hold over Kanan and Sabine since they possessed them? I
think they're done. We saw the mist kind of explode, kind of that... Yeah,
their power kind of fade.
So I think they were only there because the altar kind of brought them... focused their energy there.
Yeah.
So when the altar kind of exploded, or when he was breaking it...
Yeah.
They kind of killed their
momentum.
Their ability to be in one place.
Or to transcend. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so the best part, or one of the cooler parts of the episode, other than the Kenobi thing, I guess, is Sabine takes the Dark Saber. This is... All she does is really kind of goes back and picks it up at the end, and that's basically kind of looks at it. My question, I guess, is by her taking this, does she really realize what it is? Do you think she knows because through her family what that means and how significant that is? Or do you think she just grabbed it for the sake of grabbing it because she thought it was cool?
Well, part of me thinks that she grabbed it because she recognized it.
Okay.
Like from pictures and stuff.
Right. Family legend.
Right, but the second part of me thinks that it was the Force...
leading her to it
to pick it up.
Good point. Which leads to my next question. Well, first of all, before we get to that, do you think she's going to receive any training? Do you think she'll learn anything down the road?
From who?
Well, from I guess from Ezra or Kanan, or how to use it.
She seems to be picking up just by watching.
Yeah.
Like, not so much like formal training, but she seems to be picking up by just watching their movements, and we made a comment tonight, that's a different episode, but we made a comment tonight that some of her actions are...
very Jedi-esque.
Yeah, like, she's very quick in some things, and, like, she shouldn't be quick at, and...
Yeah.
So we're starting to see her pick up the pace, and I even made the comment tonight, like, man, she's becoming a badass. She's getting...
Yeah, she's really learning to pick it up, so... We'll just throw it out there. It's online, so it's not really spoiler alert, but I will say spoiler alert for the sake of it. Do you think that this obviously they're bringing back Kenobi and they're bringing back Satine. They're making these references. Do you think that Sabine is Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter? Possibly.
Could be.
Because he had a love interest with Satine. Maybe she had a child. They had a child, and she didn't tell Kenobi about it because she was a Jedi, and she's kind of a proud person.
Yeah, could be.
Strong person. So we know that they say we're going to be introduced to her. We've seen a picture of what supposedly is her mother, but we don't know if it's in typical Star Wars fashion. We don't know if it's her blood mother or not,
right?
Because and to me, Star Wars. I mean, what's Star Wars without some sort of family connection, right? So, and there's also a theory out there, and we'll bring it up real quick, and let's talk about it for a second. Do you think if Sabine is Kenobi's daughter? Do you think she is Luke Skywalker's love interest and therefore possibly Rey's mother, going all the way to flash forward to episode 7?
So you think Sabine is a Kenobi Skywalker?
No, Sabine is a Kenobi. Half Satine.
But she ends up being Luke's love interest. And they have Rey, so then Rey is a Kenobi Skywalker.
She is the granddaughter of Kenobi and the granddaughter of Anakin Skywalker.
Well, she's grand fucked. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting theory, and it kind of would play out the right way, I guess, like timeline-wise.
Yeah, because people be like, well, what? Okay, so if she's Luke, if we find out, let's just say for argument's sake, we don't know yet, that she is indeed Luke's daughter, then everybody be like, well, where's Luke's mother? We don't know her backstory. Yeah, we're getting it right now. We just don't know it yet.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. Well, they did tie in Saw Gerrera into Rogue One.
Right.
And part of Rebels into Rogue One, so they could very well be telling us the story of Rey's mother
without us knowing.
Without us even knowing.
Right. So.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. So. Just some interesting food for thought there at the end. So. All right, so we've broken down this episode and we've thrown some interesting fan theories at you. So only thing left time for is final thoughts and grades. All right, Brian, what's your final thought and grade for voices and visions?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Darth Maul as a character. Like even when we saw it, live action Darth Maul, and we're like, why you just had the next badass villain? Why did you just cut him in half?
Right, and kill him.
What the hell? And then I didn't watch Clone Wars, but you did. Yep. And then when Rebels started, I was watching, and he came back. I'm like, what do you mean he's back? And you're like, oh, you have to go back and watch Clone Wars. So I went back and watched the Clone Wars to watch him come back, and it was just one of those like, oh, they really needed him to be the character, and he could have been movies, so much.
Yeah.
So I'm always happy to see him in some kind of role,
Yeah.
So I would give this episode probably, I would say probably a B plus, maybe even A minus, but somewhere right around that area.
Yeah, I love this episode. I love all the tie-ins. I love the history of the Clone Wars coming back. I love how they're tying the past to what is currently the Rebels present and what is going to be potentially the future. This has got Star Wars written all over it. From obviously Darth Maul's awesome. You had the Bendu in this episode. They brought back the nightsisters, so you had that whole magic concept back into it, kind of partial force, partial magic, which is interesting to me. The whole mythology, it is Star Wars to me, and for that, I got to give this one. This is a solid A to an A plus for me. I love this episode. In fact, obviously, this one always, when we get episodes like this, I always want more, and I'm always like, God, how, it was awesome that they got to fit this in 22 minutes, but I would have loved to...
A little more expansion on it.
Yeah, a lot more expansion on it. Especially in Maul's artifact room even, would have been cool just to hear him...
Tell a story,
yeah, just,
I remember, blah, 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 blah,
yeah, just something, it was just unbelievably cool to me, so... this is right up my alley. This is the mid-season finale that it deserved to be. So definitely enjoyed it. All right. So where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? Well, you can go to google.com/ Google. Just go to google.com. Type in the number 4 Midwest Guys. You'll find our Facebook page, our Twitter account there, our Podbean. accounts on there where we host all of our audio. We also have a YouTube page, which you can find there, where we put up our audio podcasts. We are working on video. That's been slightly delayed, but we will get there eventually. Brian, where can people find you on Twitter? I know you have your
I'm on Twitter at AnkZone. I've been doing... I try to post our podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
And then any other kind of little things that I find about Star Wars or anything else. And then lately I've been doing those little pop figurines.
Oh, yeah, I see that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, the retweets for several of the sites that I do, they give them away for free. So if you guys like free stuff, definitely retweet my retweets and it'll throw you right into the loop. I won a Captain America, one of the little ones, a couple months back. So, I mean, they do give them out. So
now you got free stuff for just doing a tweet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you can reach me also at bwilly1977. I love to talk Star Wars. If you got questions, comments about the show, please reach out to me there. But you can also reach us at the official 4 Midwest Guys account as well. So as well as Facebook, email. We're available at 4midwestguys@gmail.com as well if you just like to do email. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. All right, Brian. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And for B. Willie saying, may the Force be with you.